Should the Sixers bring back James Harden? Should they rush to bring back James Harden? And we got to talk about their 2-1 start. We'll do that next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use all lowercase, Locked On NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Now listen, I want to say this before we get started. We always kept saying, hey, I got my man John Mitchell on the show. Well, let's just welcome John, a new co-host of Locked On 76ers. He's going to be working with me, Keith Pompey, moving forward. Welcome aboard, bro.
Keith, thanks for having me, brother. I'm glad to be a part of the Locked On family, man. This is going to be a wild and entertaining coverage of the 76ers from two grizzled beat writers.
Yeah, and I know you're going to keep it 100.
100.
You're going to keep it 100. But today, I guess you're going to start keeping it 100 with, I saw you shaking your head. I get a sense that Mr. Mitchell does not think the 76ers need to rush James Harden back. And let's set the stage here now. So James Harden, didn't want to be a part of the team, wanted to be traded. Right now you look at the Sixers are 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
Their one loss was the season opener where they lost by 1 point. Now, let's say it was really a 4-point loss. I hate to say that because that last minute three came in the closing second, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, they played horrible that game, and they were still in that game against a team that's favored to win the championship this year. So you look at that, and you look at how great the Sixers are playing. You think if you're the Sixers, it's not a rush to bring this guy back right about now.
No, I agree, Keith. I think, and you can look at that opener against Milwaukee. Excuse me. And there were some questionable calls late in that game that actually could have swung that game perhaps the 76ers way. So we could, I know that's a famous word in sports now, could be looking at a 3-0 team. I think rushing James Harden back, they have to be patient with him now, slow walk him, because I think the team's chemistry is ahead of schedule, and that's crucial. If Harden's already said he wants out. He said he's never going to play for a Daryl Morey ever again. And now he's changed his tune. You can't have that type of uncertainty, that wishy-washiness. And actually, he had a revelation, obviously, that he needs to show his wares because there is no market for him. The market, he knows the Sixers are trying to trade him, but there's just no market for him. And the Sixers are not going to get ripped off just because he wants his wishes to come true. You look at the way Maxey has emerged. Maxey's not playing with that burden. And you can see it all last year. I know I saw it of let me defer all the time to the legends. Let me defer to Joel. Let me defer to James Harden. He's not doing that now. He's being aggressive. He's attacking. He's getting his teammates involved. He's not turning the ball over at a high clip. He's turning over at a very low clip right now. And there. I didn't expect their chemistry. I know it's early, I'm not ready to throw a parade down Broad Street. Don't get me wrong. but it's early right now, and the chemistry looks probably a month ahead of where I thought it would be at this time. I mean, again, I know it's early, and they had a tomato can last night. Let's be honest. Let's call Portland what they are. But yeah, I'm in no rush to tinker with what they have because you know how these guys can come back, with the bad attitude. I don't know what type of attitude James Harden's going to bring back, and I don't if he's going to come back pouting, and he's not going to come back and play his behind off and show his wares and demonstrate that there is some trade value. And if he does do that, then Maxey comes off the ball a little bit more. Maxey starts standing in the corner. Do the Sixers necessarily want that?
Yeah, you're making great points. I mean, in order for James Harden to come back, well, first of all, in order for it to work out, he has to be a part of this free flowing offense that the Sixers want to implement, right? He has to be. He can't be ball dominant. That's not going to work. I think at this particular stage in time, and we'll talk more about Maxey in the second segment, but in this stage in time, Maxey has elevated his game. You can't look at him the way you used to. You just can't.
Right.
He's shown you that he's not that player. Now, again, he's going to be tough for competition, but he's showing you that. But, the thing is, typically when you got a player who wants to be traded, and a lot of times under this type of circumstances, when he move is ultimately determined by how a team is playing. Now, if a team is struggling, you got to hurry up and get them out of there and get somebody to come in and fit, right? Because that's just how it is. If the team is playing well, then all of a sudden you can take your time and you can get the move. You can get the people back that you want, right? And I think that's a lot of it right then and there. The Sixers are playing well. I mean, we'll talk about Maxey, but like last night, it was the Joel Embiid show. I mean, Joel had what game? The score, the final score was 126 to 98. It was a blowout, but it became a blowout because there was nobody out there that could stop Joel.
Right.
And Joel finished with game size of 35 points, 15 rebounds, 6 blocks to go with 7 assists and 2 steals. In 2 games, Joel has had 69 points and 8 blocks in the last 2 games. And the thing about it, John, Joel did most of his damage in the first half. Like this guy posted 24 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 4 blocks in the first half. So when we talk about a guy playing at this elite level and talking about how this team is having all this ball movement, having so much confidence and success, it's one of those things where you don't have to bring James back. Now, today's Monday. On Tuesday, James is going to practice with the team, scrimmage. They're still trying to ramp everything up. So
whatever that
means. What I mean? So you have some time. You have some time. To do what you want to do.
And is you're around this guy every day. Is there a possibility that if he comes back and doesn't, and again, I can't see him hindering the free flowing offense, but is there any possibility he might say, hey, this thing, and he fits in, the pieces fit with him on the court? You think there's any possibility he might change his trade demand, or he still wants out?
I mean, I don't know. Like I would think that he would. I would think that he would. Basically, I mean, you never know. I mean, because you never know because I don't really know James that well. Like I'm not one of those guys to say, like if it was Joel or somebody like that or been around longer, you could say. The thing about it is some of the things that James said is tough to take back, right?
Yeah,
it's really tough to take back.
Yeah.
So that's the problem you have right there. But outside of that, man, it's kind of sort of like. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if he will. And then the thing is, like, you would think, like, this will give you the best opportunity to play, to win. But at the same time, do you want to who do you want to be? Do you want to be the man, or do you want to be a guy who's a part of just a piece? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
best way for them to win is him being a piece. You know
yeah,
what I mean? You hate
yeah.
to say
Yeah,
that.
you're absolutely right. Yeah,
You know
his
what I mean?
man days are over.
Exactly. I mean, that's not like if you want to win, it's over. You feel
Right,
what I'm saying?
right,
Like if you want to win, it's
right.
over. But again, and I don't really fault him too much, James. I mean, James, I'm calling you James. We
That's
talking about
okay.
James. I don't really fault him too much, John, because the thing is, it's like if you used to playing some way for all your life, your
Yeah,
career, and you
yeah.
became the man, then it becomes hard for you to say you're not. Now, again, should you? Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
But it just seems like when you're a superstar and you used to getting your way,
Yeah,
it can be a little tough at times.
he
It,
should.
it,
You know what though? His character. I don't know his character. I'm not going to judge his character, but it's like he's so much closer to the end maybe than he understands. And I was thinking about how Dr. J stepped back and let Moses Malone carry this team. And if the goal is ultimate, I mean that's the only thing missing from his legacy. He's MVP. He's never had great success in the playoffs, and this is his opportunity. And I would hope that he's smart enough if he were to stay. And I know that's going way down the road, but if he were to make up his mind to stay, yeah, he needs to become more of an ancillary piece, man. It just needs to.
yeah, yep. Exactly. So, it's going to work. It's going to work. But look, y'all, I want to talk to y'all about Prize Picks, right? The thing I like about Prize Picks is because Prize Pick is the most fun that I had winning up to 25 times my money on football during this football season, right? What you do is you just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry, right? So also the thing about Prize Picks for some Giants fans out there, right? You can go like this: Saquon Barkley for more than 60 yards and Patrick Mahomes for more than 2 passing touchdowns. When Aaron Rodgers was going to play, there was a lot of people in New York were saying Aaron Rodgers for more than 3 touchdowns and Travis Kelce for more than 50. So that's what you do. You go out there. Prize Pick offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday each Tuesday. Prize Picks discount select players projections up to 25% to provide even more value, right? So that's the things that goes on with Prize Picks. Feel free to share experiences and do things like that just to make it work. Now, what you need to do is right. You go to PrizePicks.com. Make these picks that we talked about. You go to PrizePicks.com uh, / Locked On NBA and use the code Locked On NBA for your first deposit match up to $100. Right? I'll repeat. Go to PrizePicks.com / Locked On NBA to use code Locked On NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. I'm telling you, do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Now, Mitch, let's talk about Tyrese Maxey. Now, part of the reason that, if we're going to be real, that people are saying, you don't have to rush James back now is because of Maxey,
Right,
right? I
right.
mean, you look at Maxey, the first 2 games, he had 65 total points,
Hmm.
15 assists, and just 1 turnover, right? Last night was an off night for him comparable to the other ones, and he still was balling, still had 26, right? Right now, Tyrese Maxey is averaging 30.3 points a game,
Hmm.
one of the top scorers in the league. But the one thing that you talked about earlier is not just the scoring points, is the leading the offense,
Right,
making the right plays,
right.
doing everything that he needs to do, right? So when you talk about that, you'll say like, maybe this guy can be the star that the Sixers say they want. Because let's face it,
Right.
he's always showed flashes. It just wasn't sustained.
Yeah.
And he has gotten better each and every season. So
Yeah.
we look around and say, Joel needs an all-star. He needs a co-star. He needs a co-star. Maxey might be that boy.
It's early, and I don't want to be too overzealous in praising Maxey, but it's clear that he's taking another step. I know it's just 3 games, but the 3-point shooting is deadly once again. The thing that we knew that they were going to ask him to do if Harden is not here, or if he were not going to be here, is to be more of a on the ball and be a point guard, which all of us have said, no, that's not his forte. He's more of a combo guard. He's not the guy you necessarily want setting everybody up, but he's demonstrated a maturity on the ball that I don't think his maturity is premature. I don't think we expected to see that this early. And he's, it's 3 games, but he's stormed onto the scene. He's averaging 30 points per game. The game, because of his effectiveness to some degree and some other guys, it looks like the game's coming easier for Joel. It became very easy for Joel against Portland. But, with Maxey playing the way he's looked, maybe you don't have people saying down the road, the conversation is always about Joel wanting to get out of here. You had that horrible organization up 95 that hasn't won a championship in more than 50 years saying that Joel Embiid will be there'll be a trade for him and the New York Knicks because Joel's going to want out of Philly if things continue to go in the direction they appear to be going over the summer. But with Maxey, averaging 30 points and he's almost averaging 7 rebounds a game, Keith, and he's still shooting 50% from the floor. And if I'm not mistaken, he's shooting a higher percentage from the 3-point line, which is something, that wasn't his forte coming out of Kentucky. So I'm all on board with Tyrese Maxey. I have seen enough of him, and I realized fully that he was deferring last season. And I completely get that he can become easily an all-star should be easy for him. I'm not saying he's going to finish this season not averaging 30, but what if he averages 25, 26? That gets him in the All-Star game at least.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing about the All-Star stuff is like he has to continue to get these high-scoring games, just because, let's face it, it becomes a little subjective. You know what I mean? Like people get grandfathered in, but I think that he does definitely. I mean, I think that he definitely will deserve it. I mean, I do, but I just think that it can become, if you don't make the starter, it can become, even though the coaches vote. You feel what I'm saying? It can be a little. Yeah, it gets real political, very political, very political. But I mean, everybody's raving over him. He's doing the thing, man. He's taking the baton and he's doing what he should do. My question, the thing that you said is the question right now when you look at it is, how do we implement James into this? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm sure Nick Nurse is thinking about that. That's something that's on his, on his mind. How do I bring? Because he knows what he's dealing with. He knows what he's dealing with. How do you, a guy who is he's an established prima donna. He's that NBA prima donna. When I show up, it's as much about me as it is about the team, and that's a negative. But that's who some of these guys are, and it creates a dilemma for the team, and it creates a problem for the coach. But you don't want anything to hinder. Maxey's 22. I heard him talking about his birthday last night. He'll be 23 next year.
Yeah, he'll be 23. He'll be 23 like in a couple days. Yeah. So you know what I mean? He'll be fine. He'll be fine. I like Tyrese. We'll see. I mean, we're just going to see. We just keep a thing, and then also see if they can sustain this.
Right.
That's the one thing. Like, we're going to see just how much the Sixers can sustain.
Right.
But, right now, Nick Nurse has really put his imprint on his team, Everything looks good, and we'll just see how it goes. But look, y'all, when we get right back, we want to talk about, just talk about the bench. There's simple guys on the bench that I want to ask John's opinions of, right? But right now, I want you guys to score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. Excuse me. The app is easy to use and there's a wide range of betting options. So visit fanduel.com/locked on and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Now, Mitch,
Mm-hmm.
the one guy who I feel like, as much as we're talking about Tyrese, and don't get me wrong, Tyrese is balling, balling,
Mm-hmm.
balling. But there's one guy who I have to say I've been extremely impressed with. And every time I keep looking at him, I keep saying to myself, man, the Sixers have to re-sign this guy next year. I mean, if everything goes well.
Mm-hmm.
That person I'm talking about is Kelly Oubre
Yeah.
Jr.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
looks good, man. He look even when he's having off shooting nights, he looks good in my opinion. Because guess what? A lot of people keep saying, man, they need to put him in the starting lineup. And I'm like, no, they don't. No, they don't.
Right.
And the reason why I'm saying that is, and I guess you're in agreement by you saying right, is you need that scoring to come off the bench. You
Yeah.
need somebody to come off the bench and get buckets, right? Like, people get it kind of twisted in a way. And I get it. It sounds good on paper for fantasy basketball.
Right.
But there are certain people who don't like what PJ Tucker is bringing, right?
Right.
Well, the thing about it is when you have Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris shooting the way he's shooting, and Tyrese Maxey, and then you're probably going to have Harden if he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need another scorer out there with him.
Right.
You need somebody who's going to be a role player, do some of the dirty stuff, do this and that, set the picks, get the screen.
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need the scorer, another scorer to come off the bench and get buckets. And that's what Kelly Oubre's been able to do.
Yeah, and there aren't, he's averaging 19 and he's playing almost 30 minutes a game. And there's not a lot of potency off the bench, but when you have a guy who's giving you 19, that's your potency right there coming from one guy. And the 19 is 1 point less than he averaged last year. So I'm completely satisfied with what I'm seeing from him. He came out, against the 3-point shot looks good. He just seems like he's fit seamlessly into the offense. So if I was one of those guys who was like, oh, what does PJ Tucker give you? What do they see in him? But like you said, though, you need a guy. Let me go into the box of cliches. You do need that guy who will do the dirty work, a guy who, you can get, you can draw fouls on, put him on your best. I know they had him guarding Giannis a few times in the opener. So I'm completely okay with Kelly Oubre coming off the bench, like you said, and giving that second unit a leader, a guy who is playing for a contract. So get him out there. I mean, I would say that Howie Roseman does this well for the Eagles across Broad Street, across Patterson. He gets them. He gets guys in competitive situations who are working on, playing for contract, playing for next year, playing for their future. And I think that's a good thing to have on the 76ers. And that's where Oubre is right now. He emerged last season as a scorer. And I want to see him come off the bench all season long. Let's just keep it real.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, he looks good. Jaden Springer, I like his spring. I like his defense. I think he needs to cut down the fouls a little bit. You know what I mean? Patrick Bev has been playing like a dog. You know what I mean? And what I mean, I don't mean like I mean, the dog, like the latest, like gritty, grimy,
Right.
not the dog. Like back, it's funny how words change. Like back in the day, you say, "Oh man, he's playing like a dog," and you
Yeah,
like,
get him out of here.
"Yeah, get him out of here." Now it's like, "Oh, he's playing like a dog. Oh, we need him."
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got that. I kind of like what I see. I think they still got a ways to go. I agree with Joel Embiid, although he says that all the time. We got
all the time.
I mean, look, they'll beat a team by 50. We got a ways to go, right? So, but it is what it is. But I kind of like what I see. Now, again, I've been doing this a long time. You've been doing it a long time. It's early days.
Right.
It's early days. A lot can change. I mean, heck, look at the University of Colorado football team. At the beginning of this season, everybody was talking about, Deion need to replace Nick Saban at Alabama. Now they lost, you know what I mean? Now they're struggling. But so it's early days. But at the same time, you have to say they have exceeded expectations.
Sure.
They had 17 blocks as a team yesterday.
I couldn't believe that yesterday. When was the last time they got 17 blocks in a game?
Man, it's been a while, dude. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I mean, the gritty, grimy, that's a gritty, grimy team. And they got a lot of selfless players. And I think that's the thing that makes them good. Because if you look at Tobias Harris, he's a selfless player. Patrick Beverly, selfless. Danny Green, selfless. PJ Tucker, selfless. Jaden Springer, selfless. D House, selfless. So I'm saying is when you have role players like that who know their role, that's how you win.
Yeah.
That's how you win. So
and you know one thing that caught my eye, speaking of selfless, you know who's leading them in assists this year through 3 games?
Melton.
Joel Embiid.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how long that's gonna last, but
yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. I thought it was Melton, but no, it's Joe. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, but look, I want to thank y'all for listening to the latest installment of Locked On 76ers. I also want to again celebrate my man Mitch.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Being on the pod, moving forward full time. And I want to thank y'all again for listening. Now, here's the deal. You can get this podcast wherever you get your podcast at. It's free and available. Free and available wherever you get your podcast and on our YouTube channel. You go to the YouTube channel, right? Make sure you like it. Then click on the Liberty Bell. When you click on that Liberty Bell, you become a new subscriber and you get notifications when the next podcast come out. So we'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Want y'all to have a blessed day. Do whatever you got to do. Stay out of trouble, right? So you can come back and listen to us tomorrow. And have a great day, my man, Mitch. Have a great day,
man. 5-game homestand. I know you like that.
Yeah, I do. All right, y'all. Peace.